Hello. Today we are going to be doing kind of like a preview for the upcoming balance patch, which will be on June 25th. And also, as we go, I will be giving my opinion on some of the changes and explain why they may be good or bad and such. As usual, glad to see you here with me, and I'm glad you like the waiting screen. Okay, so um, before we get started, just I want to clarify a few points, please. The first one is this is, of course, going to be my personal opinion. Okay, maybe other people have different views. Maybe other people will like things that I didn't like, or will see some of the changes as negative, while I see them positive, and such. And secondly, we have about a month, or maybe even a little more, until the actual patch. So based on the feedback that they will get, they may change some of the things that will come with the patch. Although I don't think even if they did, the change will be significant. I think it will just be minor. So whatever we're going to be talking about today shouldn't be hugely different than what you will get on June 25th. And given that the patch is not actually released, we are going to be talking kind of theory. Okay, so I will be showing you what you will expect, but you will not actually see it on the screen right now because it's not actually in game. If you want to keep up with me, and if you want to kind of like go along with me, you can open the wiki, and in the wiki you will see the upcoming changes. And it's actually, this is in my opinion the best way to do it because you can see the skills, you can see the traits that they're talking about. It's not just names, like you can open them and see the details and such. So there are two general changes that were applied. Both of them are for PvE. Number one, there was a lot of cooldown reductions for a lot of the defensive skills for a lot of classes. We will see that as we go, one by one in each class, but that's generally a theme. And in my opinion, that's very good because um, it gives you more flexibility, it gives you more options, it gives you more defensive options specifically in PvE. And their reasoning and their justification actually made sense. They mentioned that because previously the cooldowns and everything was basically shared between all game modes, they didn't have as much flexibility. But now that they have separate game modes and a trade can work in a different ways, and in PvE, for example, in the network in WoW, this is what or like have different cooldown or something. They have more flexibility and they can now do that in PvE. So that's a very good change overall. The second thing is the CCs. So a very good example was, let's say, for example, Ring of Warding here on Guardian. Um, in WoW, this is WoW. This is of course very good. You know, like people can't go in out of your ring. This can be useful even in PvP. But for PvE, this was pretty much useless because let's say you want to break a bar on the boss, and then you drop Ring of Odin on the boss. But in order for it to actually work, they need to cross the barrier, but they won't because the boss will not move. And so it was basically useless. And so for skills, most of them that will work this way, you will now see that they will basically apply their CC at the beginning of the cast, and then whatever other effects they do, they will still continue doing. Like Ring of Odin again now is going to apply, maybe I shouldn't say now, but when the patch is released, it will apply the CC effect at the beginning of the cast. So even if the boss didn't move, it will still apply CCs. And then when they go in and out of your ring, if they did so, they will also get CC'd. Keep in mind again that this change is only for PvE. It's not for PvP or this is Vault. Now, let's get into details with each class, and I'm going to go heavy, medium, light. Also, there are a lot of changes, and it will be hard to cover all of them, but I will cover most of them and the most important ones. Okay. Also, I don't really do PvP, and I don't know enough about it. So I'm not the most qualified person to talk about PvP. So any changes that only affect PvP, I will just ignore. Okay. And of course, you can then read the patch notes on your own to see what changes only apply to PvP and such. So we will start with Guardian. And as we were just saying, you are now going to have multiple skills that will do better CCs in PvP. Ring of Odin is one of them. And then you have your staff 5, line of warding will do the same thing. It will do the CC at the initial cast. So once you drop it on the enemies, once more, guys, as we continue, keep in mind, whatever changes we're talking about are not actually in game right now. They will be applied on June 25th. However, we know that they will be in game because there was a stream yesterday. So this is just in case you're seeing me describe something that's not actually on the screen yet. Also, Longbow 5, for example, Hunter's Ward, it will do the same thing. It will now apply its CC effect at the initial cast. You don't have to wait for enemies to go in and out. And again, all of this is only for PvE. And then we have skills that have much lower cooldown in PvE now. So Contemplation of Purity will have a much lower cooldown. You have Judged Intervention, will also have lower cooldown. Save Yourselves will have much lower cooldown. And you will notice a theme with the skills that will get damage or cooldown reduction. They will either be stun breaks, or they will be cleanses, or they will be defensive in one way or another. So offensive skills, they are not going to change the duration. But you will notice, for example, Contemplation of Purity, Judge Intervention, Save Yourselves, all three of them are stun breaks. And also a couple of them are cleanses. So this is what you will notice across all classes in general, that the skills that will get damage or cooldown reduction will be stun breaks or cleanses or very good defensive skills. So specifically for Save Yourselves, I think this will be incredibly useful because I can't remember exactly what the cooldown for it will be, but it's something like 20 seconds, 25 seconds, something like this. And so if you have a little bit of boon duration in PvE, when you use Save Yourselves, you are going to end up applying a lot of boons. And in case you guys missed it, when you go to the Wizard's Tower now, it's very easy for you to get the Jade Protocol buffs. Like, you can have it for 3 hours in less than a minute. And so the Jade Protocol buffs, which I would highly recommend everyone to start getting now, and even when I do my PvE builds, I will factor them in because they are incredibly easy to get now. So the Jade Protocol buffs with something, for example, like Save Yourselves, you as a Guardian in open world, you are going to be a boon machine. You will pretty much have all boons in game all the time. You will rarely have kind of like a point in the fight where you may not have most of the boons. So this is very, very good. And then also, they changed, or they are going to change, I should say, where we get resolution. So if we go to Valor, is it Valor? Yeah. So you're going to have 2 traits here specifically. Focus Mastery, it already gives protection, and it will continue to give protection, but it will also give resolution. And then you have Monk's Focus, it already heals, it already gives Fury, but on top of that, it will give resolution. And so those two together will ensure is that you have plenty of resolution, along with the other traits, of course, along with the other benefits, I mean, like protection and Fury and the heals and such. And this is to work well with Radiance, because there was kind of like a problem with Radiance, and that is it was much more suited for Condi. And if you want to go power, you actually didn't benefit as much from it because it was hard for you to keep resolution, or you had to take certain skills that may not work very well and kind of like more of a defensive thing. And so I think now you will end up having a lot more flexibility, a lot more benefits in general. Sorry for the flashing. I'm just going to choose anything right now because I know this buzzes people. But yeah. So you will be able to apply resolution from this skill. So basically your focus skills will now do resolution. Your meditation skills will now do resolution. And so it will work very well with Radiance because, look, like this Grandmaster skill, for example, or trait. When you have resolution, you are going to do 25% more critical chance, and you will apply might every second. And then this one also, you will do 10% more damage while you have resolution. So overall, resolution for something like Radiance was very useful already, but you didn't have that many sources for resolution. So now you will with Valor. And this is also a theme you are going to notice, that they are generally trying to encourage people to take more defensive trait lines because they want to increase the sustain in PvE. Like for you as a player in open world, unless you are really well versed in the game and know what you can and cannot do, most of the time you're going to ignore the defensive stuff and you're just going to go for pure damage. And so they want to encourage you to take more stuff in the defensive trait lines to also do more damage. You know, like it's not just to keep you alive. No, it will keep you alive and it will do more damage. And so this is something you will see across other builds we will still talk about. For Firebrand, what they will change is a lot of the pages costs. I'm just going to choose anything so it doesn't flash. They will change a lot of pages costs so that you, in PvE, all of this is in PvE right now, so that you don't end up running out of pages as you use your skills. So yeah, this is also going to probably be very useful for group content. And Lore Master, this one is going to still give you more pages. It will just have the cooldown a little reduced. It will be, I believe, 5 seconds instead of 6. So overall, they want to give you more pages to do more stuff with them. Now, the next change, this is for Guardian, by the way. If you have any questions related to Guardian, just let me know. But moving on next, we're going to talk about Revenant. And Revenant, in my opinion, will probably be one of the classes that will be affected the most by the change, and in a positive way. Like, you will even note that the thumbnail actually has the Renegade, because I think, in my opinion, this will be one of the best changes for it. And I'm definitely going to try and work on the Revenant build, or a Renegade open world build after the patch, that is going to offer a ton of sustain and a ton of damage. So here's what we should expect. Okay. Now, first of all, again, continuing on the theme I was talking about earlier, the more defensive stuff to do also more damage. You are going to have Retribution. Okay, let's do this. So Retribution in now Vicious Spiral, or vicious Reprisal, you're going to do more Might, and this will apply in all game modes. I can't remember, I think the duration is up from 8 to 10 seconds or something like this, but basically you'll be able to generate more Might in general from your Resolution. And as a Revenant, especially with Retribution trait line, you already don't have a problem with this. You should be able to apply Resolution easily. And even some of the other traits will also work well, like this one, Determined Resolution. You will still do 10% more damage when you have Resolution. So you can have Resolution as you dodge, and then you get more Vigor to dodge even more often. And then where's again Resolution when you invoke a legend, so as you switch legends. So just from the Retribution trait line, you should be able to apply this amount of Resolution, do more damage with them, and the trait line itself is defensive, so it will allow you to stay alive. So again, they're encouraging you to take more defensive trait lines without having to feel like it's only defensive and it will do no good to damage. And then for Renegade is going to be really, really strong. So number one, Citadel Bombardment. It already used to do a very decent amount of damage. It wasn't bad, but the problem with it is that the missiles were too spread. So if I use my Citadel Bombardment right now, sorry, I'm speaking in the past because I'm speaking as assuming the patch is released when it's not. But it's still, the problems are still right now. They will get fixed on June 25th. But if I use Citadel Bombardment right now, for example, you will see that the missiles are kind of like too spread. And most of the times they will not actually hit the target except maybe once or twice maximum if you are lucky. And so what they did now, or what they will do, is they will make it work in a more reliable way so that you can hit your enemy with more missiles. This is a general change, by the way. This is not just in PvE. So this will apply to WoD. This is WoD and PvP too. So they will reduce the radius, and basically they will make the whole thing more compact so that your missiles will actually land. Okay. Now, also, All for One, this trait here, the way it works right now is it applies protection whenever you summon one of your Renegade Legends. So protection, of course, is very good. And the Legends also are generally, the way they work right now, are also very good. Or like the allies you summon are also very good. But on top of that, you will now do more damage when you summon any Renegade ally. And so this is, of course, I'm sorry, I'm just going to choose anything to stop the flashing. So now, if I cast this skill, I will just get protection, and of course the benefit I will get with that specific skill. But when the patch is released, you will also do more damage. So again, a defensive and offensive buff at the same time, encouraging you to have more sustain without having to worry too much that you will lose damage. So this will be very, very good in my opinion. And I think this also applies to all this as well. This is not just for PvE, like this is just a general change in the game. So this can be very, very good. Also, the most important change in my opinion is Vindication. This is now going to heal you based on the Callous Favor stacks. So it will not give you more might as it does right now. When the patch is released, you are going to do more heals when you do damage, like you will heal yourself when you do damage based on the Callous Favor stacks you will apply. And in case you don't know, keeping up the maximum stacks of 5 for Callous Favor is actually not that hard at all. So the way I expect it to work is something similar to Devastation with Battle Scars. So Battle Scars will keep giving you a lot of life leech and stuff. And so I expect it to work in a similar way. That maybe like you will heal for, let's say, for example, 1% of your damage for every Callous Favor stack. So maybe like 5% in total or something like this. And so that in addition to, let's say, if we're going to take Devastation, or in case you guys don't know, there's a new relic, Zakiros. Let me show you. Zakiros. So Zakiros will also heal you for 4% of your critical damage when you have Fury, which again, something you should have easy access to when you are playing Renegade. And so you can really have a build that is going to end up siphoning a lot of health while doing a lot of damage and reducing a lot of damage with protection and stuff. So I'm really looking forward to the changes that will come with Renegade, and it's definitely going to be one of the first builds I will try to work on. So the way I will handle the stream is I will talk about one class at a time, and then I will read your questions if you have any questions or any comments or any suggestions or something, and then I move on to the next class. So let me check if you guys have any questions. Yes, the changes I'm referring to right now are going to be the changes that will come with June 25th balance patch. Apologies for the confusion, but they did a preview stream yesterday or last night to be specific. And they told us what to expect basically. And they have been doing this for a while now. They will tell us what to expect from the change about a month before it releases so that people can give them feedback. They have a chance to look at the feedback and they have a chance to change things if necessary. So everything we're talking about right now is not currently in game. It will still be applied on June 25th. But at least now you will know what to expect. Okay? Let's see. Yes, you are right. You are right. That's exactly right. I think the change also for more sustained open world is going to be good because it will help you do the hard stuff that you mentioned, getting a hard hero point, getting a hard bounty, not getting one shot by it, that kind of stuff. So I think this is overall going to be very good. Okay, so let's see. Next, we're going to talk about Warrior, and Warrior is actually going to be also one of the very good changes. So specifically in terms of support, where is my Warrior? Here's my Warrior. Actually, this is not my Warrior. My main is a different one. I think it's full inventory right now. So most of the important changes that I will talk about for Warrior are about support, not damage. Okay, so for auto attack, if you look at the last chain right now, Inspiring Will, this currently applies regeneration. After the patch, this is going to heal. It will directly heal. And in my opinion, this is actually a very good change. And the reason why is because for a healer, it is important to keep up regeneration. But you already can do that with your F1 because your F1 will apply regeneration. And in group content with Alacrity and such, and especially with Adrenaline and the way you like Warrior will work in general, you should be able to apply regeneration 100% of the time without too many problems. And so basically they took away the regeneration from here because maybe it's a little bit of an overkill, and now you will do direct heal. So now basically your auto attack will heal, your 2 already does heal, and it does significant heal as you can see, and your 3 already does very good heal, and then your 5 will block and heal, And your 4 is very good full. So basically, all of your skills now will heal or do something very good one way or another, including your auto attack. Also, Banner of Tactics. Where is it? Here is Banner of Tactics. So Banner of Tactics in PvE currently applies only 1 stack of stability. After the patch, it will apply 5 stacks of stability. This is how it works in WoW. This is WoW, by the way. So it will basically match WoW. This can be very good because, again, stability is something that is sometimes very much needed in group content. Like the best example I can think of that most of us will probably encounter often is when you're doing the fractal chaos fractal on the last boss. You actually do need stability, and so some classes, even if they are very good healers, because they don't have access to stability, it kind of like held them back a little. And so adding a little bit more step to warrior maybe can open the doors for it a little bit more to make it more reliable a little without you having to feel like you may need to switch for certain encounters or something. And it will also be cast a little faster. Same will go for Banner of Defense. You will also cast it faster. And those are general changes in the game. The faster casting thing for defense and for tactics. Okay. Also, you have a lot of skills now that will have much lower cooldown in PvE, and again, you will notice they're all basically very defensive. Okay, so Endure Pain, which is a stun break, and it will prevent the damage from happening. It will have much less cooldown. Balance Stance, stun break, and it will give you stability. Will have much less cooldown. Frenzy, give you quickness, might, and it's a stun break. It will have much less cooldown. Doliac Signet, Stomp, where is Stomp? Stomp, and Battle Standard. All of them are going to have much less cooldown when the patch is released. So again, this is a general theme across all the classes we're going to talk about. You're going to see a lot of the defensive skills, especially the ones that will stun break or cleanse and such, will have much lower cooldown in PvE. Now also, Shrug It Off, which is a trait we have in Tactics, the way it works right now is when you have more than a certain amount of conditions, it will trigger the shout, Shake It Off, an inner shout from the traits, which will end up cleansing and healing, especially if you have vigorous shouts. And so you don't really have control over when this triggers. It's all about how much conditions you have on you. But now you will have more control because this is now going to trigger when you use your heal. So when you use your heal, you will apply this trait with it automatically, which will apply Shake It Off, which will cleanse, and if you have vigorous shouts, it will also heal. So it's a much more reliable change, and it will give you much more control over when you want to cleanse and when you want to heal and such. Now, Soldier Focus. Let's explain what is Soldier Focus first of all. So Soldier Focus, this is an effect you applied whenever you use your F1 skill. And this had a certain amount of cooldown, and it does certain benefits based on the traits you have. But generally, it applies at least stability, and it will give you boons and stuff. But what this will do now is it will also refresh not only every about 10-15 seconds, it will also now refresh when you swap weapons. And so this will actually work very well with Discipline, because you end up, most of the time, if you are going support, if you are going to run support warrior, which we'll still talk also about the Grandmaster here in Discipline, you will have Discipline anyways. And so you can switch weapons faster. And so you can now trigger Soldier's Focus faster. So you end up healing and you end up applying boons. And also this trait, it is now going to cleanse. I'm talking about this one, Martial Cadence. This is now going to allow you to recharge your Soldier Focus faster when you change weapons, and it will cleanse. So this is very good because I think they now understand that specifically in Woldus's world, it's not just about the heals, you also need a little bit of cleanses. And so they're trying to compensate some of the very good healers to add them, to give them a little bit more cleanses to encourage people to use them. So warriors will now be able to cleanse a little bit more thanks to this trait. You are now going to cleanse with your Soldier Focus. You're going to apply quickness in Woldus's Wood or stability in PvE. And of course, you are going to heal, and this will refresh not only every 10-15 seconds, but it will also refresh when you swap weapons, which have a much lower cooldown thanks to Discipline, which you will most likely run. Another change here, specifically also for discipline, is this one, heightened focus. So after the patch, what this will do is you will gain healing buff, or like a healing modifier, based on the adrenaline spent. So when you use your F1s, for example. Now, something I have mentioned many times is what makes a good healer is not the healing power or something, it's the healing modifier. If you have a class that has a lot of healing modifiers, you will do a whole lot more heal. And unfortunately, this doesn't actually reflect on the numbers. Like right now, if you look at my screen for Great Justice, I think I'm running full Ministro right now. Yeah, this is full Ministro. So for Great Justice, it will heal for about 29, 20, 22, which is not bad at all. But this number does not include any healing modifiers. With healing modifiers, it will do more. And so this trait will basically make you do more heals based on the adrenaline spent. So I think this will be a better option than this one right now when the patch is released, because the only good thing about this one is that it gives you a little bit of the adrenaline back when you use your F1 skill. But I don't think people have a problem with adrenaline, especially with having tactics and discipline. I could be wrong, so we will see. But I think after the patch, heightened focus is going to be a better option, because this is going to enable you to do more heals based on the adrenaline spent. Okay. So I think that's it for Warrior. Yeah, I think that's it for Warrior. So after every class, I will check your questions and answer and reply. So if you have anything about Warrior or such, let me know. So we are done with Heavy. We spoke about Warrior, Guardian, and Revenant. Now let's move on to Medium. And we're going to talk about Engineer. So for Engineer, again, they have lower cooldowns for some of the skills in PvE, specifically the defensive ones. So Elixir S, let me show you here quickly. Elixir S will have a much lower cooldown. So again, that's a stun break and invulnerable. Very good. Elixir U will have a lower cooldown, and I believe that lower cooldown is also going to apply to Waldus as well. Yeah, it is going to apply to also to Waldus as well. So this change specifically for PvE is going to be very good, not only because of the stun break and such, but also because this will give you a lot of quickness. And so this can basically help you stay 100% quickness uptime. And once more, don't forget that now it's incredibly easy to have the Jade Protocol buffs in under a minute. Like it will last with you 3 hours in under a minute. And so added to it, the other stuff you can generate on your own, you will pretty much be running with Spam Quickness without any problem at all. Supply Crate, the elite skill, will also have a much lower cooldown. And now one change that is good specifically for commanders is Magnet. So when you have Toolkit, Magnet here, or where is it? Is this one? Yeah, Magnet. So this is one of the skills that definitely people use a lot to pull commanders, like myself. And so this now is going to display, it should display a more properly visual till above your head when an enemy is trying to use Magnet, so that you can maybe have a little bit of time to react. It's not a significant change. I wish they would remove the unblockable part of it, although I understand potentially why, because if they remove the unblockable part, it basically becomes useless. So I hope they find some sort of a middle ground, but nonetheless, at least giving us some sort of a proper visual tell will be good to hopefully avoid the pulls. Your grenade skills. So the way it works right now, in most builds, the power ones specifically, or even actually the condition ones, if people are using grenade kit, most of the time you are going to see them just basically use 1 and 2. Most of the time. In some rotations they may include others, but most of the time it's just 1 and 2. And that's because like they will both do a decent amount of damage and they have much lower cooldown, and the other ones don't do as much damage to justify the casting time and such. And so now they have basically doubled the amount of damage that, or actually, no, I shouldn't say double. You will do between 50 to 75% more damage from freeze grenade and poison grenade. So basically, this is just to encourage people to use more grenade skills and not just use 1 and 2. So they just basically want you to use more grenade skills. Also, um, compounding chemicals in alchemy, they generally want to make the alchemy trait line again a more appealing options. Again, this will go to what we explained before, which is making the defensive skills or the defensive traits more appealing in general, and you don't have to feel like it's only to keep you alive. No, it's actually also going to help you do more damage. So compounding chemicals, instead of just healing, which is very good on its own, but one of the problems you will actually notice with Engineer is that you actually have very limited options for cleanses. Like, look at the options we have for cleanses right now. So I only have Shift Signet, basically. And if I want an extra cleanse, then I have Elixir C. And especially as a mechanist, I don't have access to the extra tool build skill for more cleanses. Okay? And Shift Signet is not necessarily something you want to use for cleanses because you want to try and keep it on passive for the extra speed, but also to share boons with your golem. So basically, you're only left with Elixir C, and so it's really not enough. It really isn't. And so what they did now is when you have compounding chemicals, your elixir skills will also now remove conditions. And so, for example, Elixir U now is going to be a stun break, it's going to be a cleanse, and it will apply quickness and such. It's a very good skill overall. So basically, this will be in all open world builds from now on. You'll probably also take Elixir B to give yourself a little bit more boons, and it will still provide that extra cleanse. So again, a very good change overall that will give you a little bit more cleanses. Now, emergency elixir, which is going to be this trait here, the way this will work after the patch, this is going to be renamed to boiling point. And the way this will work, it will give you fury based on the amount of might you will have. And so when you reach a certain point, you will apply fury, which is something that should be very easy for you, especially if you're using a hammer, because just from your auto attack, you will apply a very decent amount of might. Okay, and especially if you're running Scrapper, then the rest of your traits, you'll basically be kept at 100% might, 25 stacks of might, pretty much 100% of the time. And so, again, they're trying to make the defensive trait lines more appealing for damage, not only for sustain. So you will most likely now have the Elixir E after the patch to give yourself a little bit more fury, which generally will work very well with firearms to basically help you stay at 100% critical chance, and also it will give you ferocity and such. So generally speaking, this is going to make alchemy a little bit more of an appealing option, not just to stay alive, but also to help synergize with firearms, which I believe most people use for open world and even for group content anyways. And so this is another very good change. Before we move on, let me check if we have any questions. Hello. I'm sorry, not sure how to pronounce your name. Skarzon? Hello. No, if you are talking, so people already, I think, use super speed with engineers in general. We don't use it because I want to make sure we have a super speed in every party. Specifically in my party, I can't have super speed unless everyone does. And so, I don't know if that change is going to encourage more people to have super speed or not. But speaking for us, generally, I don't oppose to super speed. It's just I want to make sure most of us have it before we can rely on it. So as of right now, I don't know that we have enough engineers to do that. I really can't tell you right now. Maybe let's wait until the patch and see how good engineers will be in general before we can speculate. So moving on, we're going to talk about Ranger. So Ranger Longbow is now going to be more reliable and it will do more damage. So here's what I mean by this. Your auto attack, again, this is after the patch, guys. This is not now. Your auto attack will do 15% more damage. And your rapid fire will do 20% more damage. This is in PvE, by the way. Actually, maybe even in WoW this is WoW. No, I think it's only in PvE. Yeah, I think only in PvE. But anyways. And then you have Lead the Wind. Hold on. Let me show you. Okay, so lead the wind, which is this trait. The way it works right now is if you hit an enemy beyond the range threshold, which is 1200, you will get swiftness and you will get quickness. And so this is not something that's easy to do, although you have 1500 range on your skills, but generally speaking, you will rarely hit an enemy at that much range. And so you didn't really benefit from that trait as much, although the piercing, of course, was still very good, but the boons didn't really trigger often. And so what they will do now is they will give you those boons when you use point blank. And so basically what you can do is you can use point blank on an enemy to knock them back and push them away from you, and then you follow up with your 2 to do a little bit more damage, and then maybe you have barrage to cripple them, not allow them to come anywhere close, and then you follow up, of course, with your auto attack, all of which will pierce because of the trait. And so overall, this can be a very good change. So those are changes for longbow that I think are going to make it not necessarily more appealing, not necessarily more reliable, but right now it just if you will only use longbow if you just want to kind of to have a range option, a power range option, because really nothing else. You don't have anything else. But now to actually be a good range option when needed. And of course, you have lower cooldown skills, just like all the others. So let's see. Signet of Renewal will have lower cooldown, so now you have more cleanses. Signet of Stone will have much lower cooldown. So again, this is a very good defensive change. Quickening Zephyr will have lower cooldown, so you have more quickness and stuff. Lightning Reflexes will have lower cooldown, so again, pay attention. Break stun, or stun break, stun break. Spirit of Nature will have lower cooldown. It will be about 90%. I think most of the elite skills that had 120 will now have 90. So this is a change you will see across the board. Doliac Stance from when you are Soul Beast is also going to have a lower cooldown. When you are Untamed, let me just switch here quickly. When you are Untamed, mutate conditions. Where is it? This one. No, this one. Mutate conditions will also now have lower cooldown. And while we are on the subject of being Untamed, you guys will notice that my pet is kind of greenish. This is generally the case for you as an Untamed anytime your pet is unleashed. If I am unleashed, I will have like a little bit of green, but then my pet is normal. So this is apparently something that people have complained about. I personally don't really like it either. And so now when your pet is unleashed, it will not be permanently green like this. It will only be green for a brief amount of time, and then it will go back to its normal colors. Those are really the only changes that concern ranges that are kind of like important, but don't underestimate the impact of them because, for example, having Quickening Zephyr with a lower cooldown is actually very good because it gives you quickness, it gives you fury and potentially condition removal based on what else you use. Signet of Stone, this will help you a lot with sustain. So yeah, like they don't seem like a lot of changes, but they are significant changes. Okay, before we move on to Sif, let me see if we have any questions. You are right. Yeah, I think that's a very good way to put it because longbow will end up doing a lot of CCs and a lot more damage. So yeah, most of the enemies will die before even melee have a chance, which is not necessarily a very good thing. But if you like that kind of play style, I think it will be much more reliable and much more doable with longbow right now. You are right, yes. Unfortunately, that is also going to end up killing like world bosses even faster and such, but generally speaking, you won't use range in those situations anyways, because melee is not exactly going to be the best option for world bosses, exactly for the reason you mentioned. They will die very quickly. But yes, that is a change good for ranger. They will be able to do things from range more reliably. Maybe not necessarily for the rest of the people, especially in group content or in like world bosses, open world group content and stuff. So next we're going to talk about Thief. And Thief really, the only thing let's see, where is my sieve? Okay, here's my sieve. So the only significant change with sieve is venoms. Um, so for venoms, the way they work right now is, if you have multiple sieves together, basically the amount of venoms you can have, let me show you where are the venoms. Here are the venoms. The amount of stacks of venoms you can have is what you see on the screen. So let's say, theoretically speaking here, let's say you have a party of 5 sieves. The maximum amount of stacks each one can have from those venoms is the number you see. So spider venom, maximum amount of 6. Scale venom, maximum amount of 4. So even if we all used spider venom, each one of us can only have 6 stacks. We will not benefit from each other's. And so what they did now is they increased that cap to 25. So you can now have a maximum of 25 stacks of a certain venom. However, the limit still applies to single targets. So what that means is if we have 5 sieves in the same party, the amount of stacks we will have from spider venom can go up to 25, but I personally cannot contribute more than 6 to that number. Even if I use it multiple times, I can only add 6 stacks of this to my party. This is not necessarily going to be very useful in the day-to-day usage, but this is good for meta trains, or specifically when Halloween is coming, you're going to see a lot of sieves with venoms and such. So that was generally a problem because they will kind of like overwrite each other's, if you will. And so not that many will benefit. But this change will now fix that problem to an extent. So it will be a little bit more reliable, and when you have multiple sieves in the squad, they will kind of like not punish each other's. So I think this will be a positive change that you will notice specifically in those kind of situations, as I said. When you're doing like meta trains, when it's just all about tagging enemies and Halloween, but you will not really notice it in competitive mode or anything like this. Another good change, in my opinion, is Daredevil. So, do I have a Daredevil here? Yeah, Daredevil. So, the way this works, the way this Grandmaster works is, if you look, you will see something called exhaustion. When you are exhausted, you do 100% less endurance generation, which is basically going to be your dash. And so this trait will remove, immobilize, cripple, and chill when you dodge. But in exchange, it will apply that exhaustion effect. And you will see if you remove cripple, you are exhausted for 2 seconds. If you are chilled, you are exhausted for 3 seconds. If you are immobilized, you are exhausted for 4 seconds. Again, once more, the probably the one that you will feel that in the most is in the Halloween lab, when you will constantly getting immobilized and you will try to dash to cleanse yourself, but then you run out of dashes very quickly because you're exhausted. So basically what they did now is the exhausted effect will only be for 0.1 seconds for any condition. It doesn't matter anymore. So cripple, immobilize, or chill will only apply exhaust for 0.1 seconds. Here is what this tells me. This tells me that they basically want to get rid of this effect. They want to get rid of the exhaust effect. They don't want you to be punished for removing those conditions when you dodge. However, they can't because of the code. Because they have stated multiple times that their code is basically spaghetti code, and they are terrified of changing anything unless they absolutely have to, so that it doesn't screw up any something else. So instead of changing the code to completely remove that effect, they are basically going to make it almost non-existent. And so this is as good basically as it will get without actually removing that effect. So basically you're going to find yourself punished less when you remove conditions this way. Moving on next to Mesmer. Where is Mesmer? Okay, here's Mesmer. Okay. So for Mirage, what they want to do is they want you to do more condition damage, specifically in Woldus' Wold. And so your axe skill are going to have higher duration, specifically the imaginary axe, which is the ambush skill. This is going to basically have double the duration of the tournament, so pretty much double the damage for the ambush skill. Also, mental gymnastics, where is it? Mental gymnastics, I can't remember. Can't remember who is it exactly. But basically, this is the one that gives you vigor when you dodge. It has 10 seconds cooldown. I can't remember where is it. Is it an inspiration? Can't remember where is it. But anyways, it had 10 seconds cooldown. Okay? And so you would dodge, you will get vigor for 5 seconds, and the trait itself will have 10 seconds. So unless you have 100% boon duration, there's a little bit of cooldown. And that is not exactly good, because for Mirage, you do more damage when you have vigor. You do more condition damage when you have vigor. So they will change the trait, and they will make it now proc every 5 seconds. So when you dodge, you apply vigor for 5 seconds, and the trait itself will have 5 seconds. And as a Mirage, you want to be dodging pretty much all the time to benefit from ambush. And so basically you're going to be able to apply vigor to yourself permanently and increase your own condition damage. So you're really pushing the condition damage of Mirage as much as you can. Another change is Aether Feast. As of right now, it doesn't remove conditions. But when the patch is released, it will remove conditions. It will remove at least one condition, and then extra based on the illusions that you will shatter. So this is a very good change, because usually Aether Feast is not taken because it doesn't have as much benefit as the others. Like mirror images will at least reflect as you heal. The mantra will give you a couple of charges. The signet will work well with the illusions and stuff. And so Aether Feast usually got ignored a little. But I think after the changes, you are going to see more people taking it, because it will be very good for cleanses. And then, of course, again, we have a multiple amount of skills that will have much lower cooldown in PvE. Decoy, mirror images, Signet of Midnight, Veil is going to have much less cooldown in PvE. Where is it? Veil, I think it has like 30 seconds or 25 seconds. I can't remember exactly. Mass Invis will have much lower cooldown. And then as a Virtuoso, do I have a Virtuoso here? I don't. Okay, well, but as a Virtuoso, you have a couple of skills. Psychic Force and Blade Renewal will also have their cooldown reduced much more. And so, in my opinion, this will be very good, because now, with Mass Invis having lower cooldown, and with Veil, just from those two alone, you can help your party basically perma-stealth through trash mobs and such in some content. Like when I do in Fractals, for example, you want to skip some mobs. Mesmer can be very good with that now. So it will be much more reliable. Signet of Humility. In PvE, it will not change, but in WoW, this is WoW. The most important change is it will only mow the person for 2 seconds instead of 6. This is another change that is very good on top of the magnet that we referred to earlier with Engineer, because those two skills specifically are what most people use to target the enemy commander. And so getting mowed in general in WoW this world is very bad, it's very dangerous. But at least for 2 seconds, it's much more manageable than 6 seconds. So as a commander, when you're getting targeted, like myself, we're not going to be running like headless chickens for 6 seconds. It will be only for 2 seconds, so hopefully we will have a little bit more time to react. We will not be vulnerable for as long and such. So this is, again, another good change. And I think if they are going in that direction, I will not be surprised if at some point they made it basically very hard for one player to just target the enemy commander like they do right now. Like, for example, Magnet, I just was talking about how unblockable is dangerous. And so I think at some point, if they will continue on that path, you may find something like Magnet is now blockable. So Aegis, for example, will help the commander and such. Now, Virtuoso. Just like they want Mirage to do more condition damage in general, they want Virtuoso to do a lot more damage from power, not just condition. Most of the time right now, if we have a Virtuoso build, you will see that it is... wrong thing, hold on. Okay. Most of the time when you have Virtuoso, you will see it's a condition build, not a power build. And so what they want to do is they want to change that. This is Blade Renewal, by the way, and Psychic Force. Those are the two skills that will also have cooldown reduction as Virtuoso. And so here's what they will do. In Virtuoso, where is Blade? Where is Blade Ring? Oh, Deadly Blades. Okay, so as it is right now, when you use any of your Blade Song skills, which are basically F1, F2, 3, 4, 5, you are going to have an effect that will allow you to do 5% more damage, 5% condition damage for 5 seconds. And this doesn't stack. And so what they will do is they will now increase it up to 7 seconds. It may not seem like a lot, but here's what you need to understand. Whenever you see those kind of numbers, don't just say, it's just from 5 seconds to 7 seconds or just 2 seconds, it's not a big deal. It is. Because going up from 7 seconds to 5 seconds, that's basically about 40%. So they're increasing your power damage by roughly about 40%. That's how much it is, just from those extra 2 seconds, especially because they don't stack. And so, especially for example with Alacrity and stuff, you Blade Song Harmony, like let's just take F1 and F2 skills. Okay, so let's say you're someone that is not going to be careful and you will just spam your F1 skills, which most of us will do. I will do it. Okay, and so I get the buff from this one for 7 seconds, but with Alacrity and such, it will now have a much lower cooldown, and probably by the time I use it, another skill will have a lower cooldown and it will be almost up. Basically, what I'm trying to say is you will find this buff on you much more often than you will right now, just because of those 2 extra seconds. So don't underestimate it. That's about 40% more damage. About. It's not exactly, it's going to be roughly about 40% more power damage. And then also Infinite Forge, which is this one. This is going to make your blades do more damage. We still don't know exactly how much damage, but your blades are going to do more damage on top of what this trait already provides. So here's what you need to understand. As a virtuoso, a lot of the skills actually apply blades. So obviously, your dagger skills, all of them are blades. Your F skills, all of them, including your F5, are blades. Maybe not F4, it's distortion. You have something like this. This is blades. You have the sword skill. This is blade. This is blades. Even great sword. Do I have great sword right now? Don't think I have great sword. Okay, well. But even great sword, a couple of the skills are going to be blades. So basically, them saying that this trait is going to do more damage from your blades is actually significant, because a lot of your skills will apply blades. And so it will be very interesting to see how much more damage you will do in general, but I think it will be decent enough that you may actually have a reliable, good power virtuoso open world build, or maybe even in competitive modes, group content for PvE and such. Okay, next we have Necromancer. So for Necromancer, not that much changed, but the few changes that applies are actually going to be good. So we start with swords, and swords specifically for War This Is World are now going to be a better option. Do I have swords somewhere? Should have swords here. Yep. Okay. So for War This Is World, where is it? Satiate, which is the second channel skill from your F2, or sorry, from your 2, this is going to do 50% more damage. Now, keep in mind that generally speaking, in War This Is World, you want to be careful using your second channel skills because they will drain some of your health. Okay? But it will still do about 50% more damage. And then, what's this? Gorman dies or something. Again, the second channel skill, this will also do 66% more damage. Again, this is only in War This Is World. This is not in PvP. Oh, sorry, this is not in in PvE or PvP. It's only in War This Is World. Passive Gluttony, which is this skill. So if you pay attention, the boon removal part only happens at the second channel with Gorge, basically. But now, Passive Gluttony itself, which is the first channel, it will also remove boons. And again, this is only in War This Is World. Gorge already does remove boons. So basically, we'll have both of them remove boons. And so it's already dangerous as it is because it's a dash. So like it's kind of like more reward now with the risk. Okay. So this will be generally more boon removal in Wood. This is Wood, and it will be a better option in my opinion. For PvE again, Spectral Ring. Where is it? Spectral Ring. It will now. This is only for PvE. It will apply a little bit of CCs when you first cast it, because otherwise it will only, as of right now, it will only do CCs if people go in and out of your ring, and so this is not going to happen with bosses basically. So they add the bit of initial CCs component to help with that. Lots of skills will have lower cooldown. Spectral Walk, Spectral Armor, Signet of the Locust, Will of Power, Consume Conditions, which is your heal. And then as a Harbinger, do I have a Harbinger build here somewhere? I don't have a Harbinger build. It's okay, that's okay. But Harbinger, you have one of your elixir, the Stonebreak one, Elixir of Ignorance, will now also apply protection. And Elixir of Bliss with Elixir of Ignorance, both will also have lower cooldown. Now, speaking of Harbinger, so let's talk about this trait. Which one? Or is it this one? This one. Okay. So what this trait will do, again, not right now, but after the patch, this is going to help you do or take about, they didn't give exact numbers, but I'm going to estimate it will be about 50% less damage for a few seconds after you go Harbinger Shroud. That's of course very good, but I actually don't like the change. And the reason for that is because of what they specifically said in the stream yesterday. In case you guys don't know, you already get a similar effect, for example, with Reaper. Okay, so with Reaper Shroud, if you look at the trait, you get 33% damage reduction. The normal Shroud, when you go to Shroud, you take about 50% damage reduction. And so they said that they felt bad for Harbinger for not getting damage reduction when they go to Shroud, and so they're going to give you 50% with this trait. But that's exactly why I don't like it, because it shouldn't be bound to a single trait. Generally speaking, when you go to Harbinger Shroud, you should take less damage, just like Reaper Shroud and just like the normal Shroud. And so I hope they revert the change, and I hope they apply the damage reduction to be by default, for example with this trait, so that Harbinger Shroud, all of it in general with whatever build, will have 50% damage reduction, at least for a few seconds, not just when you are taking this trait, which is also more of a power trait, which kind of contradicts Harbinger, because I think Harbinger is more suited for condition. So the purpose of the change is good, but I think it's in the wrong place. So that's my opinion about this. The last one we're going to talk about, let me check if we have any questions before we move on. Hello, sorry, I'm not sure how to pronounce your name. I'm just going to call you Mr. X for now. I don't know how to pronounce the rest. So the most important change, in my opinion, is for Ellies. This is significant. So, first of all, your scepter skills. Do I have a scepter here? I think I have a scepter somewhere. Let's do this. Let's equip scepter here quickly. So, scepter. Okay, here we go. Okay. Oh my god. What am I doing? Okay. I just want to change weapons. Okay, here we go. So, Scepter in PvE is now going to do a lot more damage. All of your auto attacks basically and all of your attunements are going to do a lot more damage. Also, Water Trident, which is skill number 3. Let me double equip. Here we go. Water Trident is also going to do more damage. And then Hurl, which is the second channel skill when you use Armor Thing. This will also do more damage. And pretty much all of your dual attacks as a Weaver are going to do more damage. So they are really pushing Scepter in general for PvE specifically. But specifically with Weaver, they really want you to use Scepter. Like, they really want you to at least try it. At least give it a shot. So we will see how it will go after the patch. I will definitely test the changes myself. But yeah, like, expect Weavers specifically with Scepters to do a lot more damage. And then when we are using daggers, let me put dagger here quickly. Let's change to Tempest maybe. Yeah, okay, here we go. So, is that a dagger? That's a dagger, right? Yeah, that's a dagger. Okay. So, oh my god, I keep switching things by mistake. Your skill number 2 on fire, Drake Breath. This is going to have a much less channel time now. So it will basically cast faster and do more damage in general in PvE. And also, Cone of Cold is also going to have a much faster casting time. It will also do a lot more heals. I can't remember the exact percentage. I think it was something along the lines of 40 or 50% more heals. But that was very, very good. And then Frozen Burst, which is skill number 3, it's already a blast finisher. That's already good. But what it will do is it will also apply an ice field. Now, what's an ice field? When you blast an ice field, you apply a frost aura. And as a Tempest, most likely, if you are running a healing Tempest, you're also going to have this trait, so your auras will heal. And then most likely, as of right now, I think, at least I know we are running Karakoza for our heals. But I think also generally a lot of people are running Karakoza, and so you will end up doing basically a lot of heals and blast finishes with this, and so you will be guaranteed 100% that at least you are going to blast with for heals, and you apply Frost Aura because you will generate your own field. And then Convergence, which is skill number 2 from Dagger. This is also now a blast finisher. So basically, they generally added more blast finishers for you on a dagger because they understand how blast finishers are very important for what this is what, especially with a couple of traits I will still talk about. Let's see. Before we talk about the earth and water changes, I want to talk about what skills will have lower cooldown. So Armor of Earth, Mist Form, Arcane Shield, Signet of Air. Where is Signet of Air? Is it this one? This one. Signet of Air, which is a Stun Break. So again, basically anything that was Stun Break or Cleanse will have its cooldown reduced in PvE. And then Stone Resonance, which is a Weaver thing. I think I have a Weaver build here. So yeah. Stone Resonance will have lower cooldown. Twist of Fate will have lower cooldown. Invigorating Air, which one? Where is Invigorating Air? Not sure which one actually is it. But it's another skill that will get... oh, right, this is... what's it called? What's the other thing called? What's the one that's not a Weaver? Or a Tempest? Catalyst, yes, Catalyst. Okay. Catalyst. Okay, so Fortified Earth will also have cooldown reduction, and Invigorating Air will also have cooldown reduction. So again, most of the defensive skills will have its cooldown reduced. So now, let's talk about the Earth changes. I'm just going to choose anything for now, because I know the flashes bother people. So let's just select anything. Okay. So, the Earth changes are actually really, really, really good. So first of all, Earth Embrace will no longer apply barrier. It will give you resistance when you heal. However, that's not a problem because Earth Blast will now have barrier. So basically they moved it from here to here. So when you switch to Earth, you will now get barrier on top of the other stuff it will provide. And then Diamond Skin, this is now going to be fantastic. So it will remove conditions from you only as a Tempest if you use a leap finisher in a combo field. And so, for example, on Earth or something, if you use the skill number 3 in a combo field, that is going to remove a condition from you. However, if you use a blast finisher in a combo field, that is now going to remove conditions also from allies. And so this will work very well with the changes we just spoken about. So Frozen Burst is now going to be a blast finisher, so that's basically more cleanses. This is now going to be Convergence is now a blast finisher, so this is more cleanses. And it's a blast finisher in general, so it will work very well with Karakoza, as I was saying. Let's have Karakoza here quickly. Oh my god. Okay, here we go. Karakoza. This is the one I'm referring to, Karakoza. And so we are definitely, at least for our guild, we're 100% going to switch to dagger after the changes. Okay, but I think generally you are going to see more people preferring dagger over staff for what this is what specifically because of the blast finishes. Also, another good change will be in water. So, where is water? Let's okay. So, soothing ice, which is this trait, the way it works right now is you will apply regeneration and get a frost aura when you are critically hit. And so again, this is unreliable. It will trigger randomly. But now this is going to do this when you use your healing skill. So your healing skill is now going to basically trigger a frost aura, which will work very well with Elemental Bastion, for example, if you're running a healing Tempest. And then flow like water, which is this one. This is going to, as it is right now, it will do 10% more damage when you are above 75% health. It will still do the same, but the health threshold will change. It will be 50%. And even when you are below 50%, it will do 5% more damage and not 10. So basically, you are guaranteed at least 5% more damage or even 10 if you are above 50% health. On top of that, it will heal you every 4 seconds, like the cooldown of the trait will have 4 seconds instead of 10. So it's more heals and it's more damage. So again, it goes in line with the changes that they have done before. And so they basically want the defensive traits to have more offensive appeal to encourage you to take it and not just look at it from a survival point of view. And then soothing power, this is going to add 300 vitality, so that's basically 3k extra health, which I think is going to be very good. And this is most likely, if someone is going to use the water trait line for open world, they're most likely going to use this one. And so this is a 3k extra vitality, again, to help you with extra sustain without you having to feel like you are too squishy as an Ellie. So yeah, I think really the changes flow like water and this one and soothing power with extra vitality will get along with soothing ice. I think overall this will make water a more appealing option for open world without you having to feel like it's a complete waste of damage, because flow like water will help a little with it. And then we have some Tempest changes. So overload fire, it will apply fury to allies on top of the others, which is very good because as of right now, it was basically the only overload that didn't apply a boon directly. You see protection right now, but the protection is only for you. It doesn't actually apply any boon to allies right now, but after the patch it will apply fury, because fire will apply might, water will apply generation, earth will apply protection. And so air will also now apply fury. And then heat sink, which is a skill from Warhorn. Where is it? Here it is. Heat sink. The way it works right now is you will copy might and fury to allies, but you will give yourself only might when using the skills, which means if you don't already have someone giving you fury, you can't copy it to others. But after the patch, you will get fury from this skill. So you will give yourself might, you will give yourself fury, and then you will share it with others. So it's a more reliable change that will give people might and fury in an easier way. And then also Feel the Burn will apply more might and for longer, and it will also give them fury. This will be only for PvE, by the way. Hardy Conduit, which is this skill here. This is going to apply protection to allies, also on top of you, when you overload. And so you can imagine, for example, with something, if we're going to run the S straight line, which most likely we will, you will apply a lot of protection from your auras, and then you apply a lot of protection from your Hardy Conduit with the overload, so you should easily be able to keep a protection on your allies all the time. And so this is, again, another significant change. And I think it makes Tempest a much, much, much more appealing option now for heals and cleanses and everything. And I expect it to probably cleanse a little bit more, maybe, than it Definitely than it is right now, but probably more than the other classes. But we will see. So that is it. Those are all the changes that I think are important and you should know. And I've also given you my opinion about them. Let's look if we have any questions. No, I don't think I will switch on. I will stream on Twitch anymore. I'm just really uncomfortable on Twitch. I really don't know why. I'm much more comfortable on YouTube. So I don't see myself streaming on Twitch for the foreseeable future. But of course, as usual, the plan may change. Um, for now, though, if I will go online, or sorry, if I will go live, it will be for YouTube. And NA, I haven't done any NA stuff for a long time because I simply don't have the time for EU and NA anymore. And since most of our people are in EU, it makes sense that most of my activities are on EU. So I'm not doing any NA thing right now. So I don't see any other questions. So, oh, hold on. Okay, well, thank you. Thank you. I'm glad that you like the changes or you like the stream. I'm glad you found it useful. So that is it, guys. Thank you very much for your time. I hope this was helpful for also the rest of you. And I'm looking forward to the changes. And we are definitely going to have a couple of builds at least. I know that will be very good. The Renegade one, probably a Weaver one. So yeah, like I'm looking forward for what to come with the patch on June 25th. And I hope it will be very good for all of us. So thank you for your time, and I am going to see you later.